Special attention, Councilman Freeman.
Income 18.
File. We have before us the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Kilby, Milkovich, Deal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
We'll move into our old business rules. Councilwoman Amobian. Time will be granted. Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman.
Committee requests time.
Time will be granted. Planning, Councilman Fusco.
Time on the agenda.
Time will be granted. Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian. Time will be granted.
Item number 1, new agenda, new legislation offered by Fusco. Ordinance approving the sale of vacant city-owned property pursuant to the city's A Lot for a Little program in order to facilitate the productive reuse of property and in furtherance of Mayor Horrigan's objectives of activating underutilized spaces for the benefit of the community and reducing the cost to the city and the taxpayers and maintaining vacant lots, determining said property is not needed for public use and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 2, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing conditional use to construct the Harmon Court development on the north side of Vernon Odom Boulevard and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
For an advertised for public hearing on April 9th.
This item will be referred.
Item number 3, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing conditional use to construct a detached garage at 98 North Rose Boulevard and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
For an advertised for public hearing on April 9th.
This item will be referred.
Item number 4, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing conditional use to construct an apartment at 2197 Eastwood Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
For an advertised for public hearing on April 9th.
This item will be referred.
Item number 5, offered by Fusco. Ordinance amending and or supplementing Title 15, Chapter 153 of the Zoning Code, Section 153.578, subdivision uses in the UPD 40 district by updating development requirements and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
For an advertised for public hearing on April 16th.
This item will be referred.
Item number 6, offered by Fusco. Ordinance amending the zoning map by changing the single-family residential district classification to U1H1A1 on property located on the west side of Hall Street and property located on the east side of Hall Street, addressed as 190 South Maple Street and 144 to 122 Bittman, to the UPD 40 district classification, declared an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
For an advertised for public hearing on April 16th.
This item will be referred.
Okay, item number 7, offered by Fusco. Ordinance amending the tax zoning map by changing the apartment house use district classification to U2H2A4 on property in the block bounded by South Maple Street on the west of Glendale Avenue on the south and east and west sides of South Walnut to the UPD 40B district classification and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
For an advertised for public hearing on April 16th.
This item will be referred.
Item number 8, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing conditional use to establish child daycare business at 340 Ira Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
For an advertised for public hearing on April 16th.
This item will be referred.
Item number 9, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing conditional use to establish child daycare business center at 937 Dover Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
For an advertise for public hearing on April 16th.
This item will be referred.
Okay. Item number 10, offered by Kamer, ordinance determined to proceed with the improvements of Britton Road between the termini of Talmadge Avenue and Independence Avenue by constructing and reconstructing curbs, concrete sidewalks, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you. Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules, please.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you. This is just to move forward with a project in creating, reconstructing curbs and concrete sidewalks on Britton Road.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 11, offered by Kamer, ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to submit an application and enter into an agreement with the Summit Akron Solid Waste Management Authority for a community recycling access grant in furtherance of Mayor Horgan's objectives of supporting new and existing community recycling projects which would sustain and increase recycling activities within Summit County and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you. Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules, please.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thanks. This is just basically applying for a grant to continue our recycling activities in Summit County here in the city.
The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 12, offered by Kamer, resolution amending and restating Exhibit A to Resolution number 86, 2018, passed March 19, 2018, with respect to the 2018 Phase 1, 2, and 3 unimproved street resurfacing program and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
Thank you. Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thanks. This is just basically to continue our resurfacing program here in the city of Akron on unimproved streets.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sim, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 13, offered by Kamer. It's a resolution amending resolution number 88, 2018, passed March 19, 2018, with respect to the 2018 Phase 1, Phase 2, and 3 residential resurfacing program and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Kamer.
All right. Thank you. Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of rules on this one, too, please.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Same as before, just moving forward with our 2018 resurfacing program for residential streets.
Okay. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Freeman, Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 14, offered by Samples. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee after publicly advertising for bids to enter into a contract or contracts for the painting of fire hydrants in the city and declaring an emergency.
Councilwoman Samples.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee is requesting time.
Time will be granted. We will now go to the portion of our meeting that we refer to as our public comment period. If you wish to speak to this council during this time, you may approach the podium. Please sign in, then state your full name, spell your last name, and give us your address. You will have 3 minutes to speak to this body. Speakers are reminded that this is an official meeting. Remarks should be kept respectful and germane to council business. Speakers should refrain from making any personal attacks. Anyone who breaches the decorum will be ruled out of order and may be removed from council chambers.
This is only for if any of the council members want to know more about what I'm going to speak on tonight. You can make a copy. If not, don't waste the paper because it's a lot of paper. I haven't been here in so long, I'm a little nervous. That's strange for me. To you, Madam President, to this illustrious body, and to the representatives of the city of Akron, my name is Geneva Hill. I should say good evening, I'm sorry. My name is Geneva Hill, that's H-I-L-L, and I reside at OR 77 White Pond Drive. On last week, we were present, several of us were present here wearing our badges and our name tags, but this week I'm back to introduce AKYW. It stands for A Colony Ya Wanawake, which is Swahili for a colony of women. A Colony of Women is an international voluntary women's organization that falls under the Solid Rock Community Development Group with a vision to create a society in which all women and youth will have equal opportunities and are empowered and motivated to make choices and decisions, a matter that affects them socially, economically, politically, and spiritually, and a mission to nurture and empower women through numerous vehicles to build capacity, create interventions that promote women's rights that sustain livelihood and political standings throughout the world. The project of A Colony of Women, gender equality, gender governance, and gender identity are overviews developed and will be implemented that are in line with the mission and are designed to improve services to women and the larger community. We will also engage governmental and spiritual platforms to effectively improve and delivery of services and formulate policies that will improve the lives of all women. The foundation of A Colony of Women is built on an ant. The power of an ant coincides with the power of a woman. One ant can move 50 times its size, but a colony of ants can move a mountain. So it is with women. A Colony of Women believes that with the fortitude and determination of a group of women coming together as one can change the world's narrative toward women.
You have about 30 seconds.
Okay, I can do it. To all of you, one thing is for sure, regardless of the origin, the social or economic status, the educational level, the political ideology, or their physical structure, all women have the same needs and concerns, and we all face the same issues. Our first project here in Akron is to address the enforcement of curfew hours and to shine the light on slum landlords. We promise to engage Akron's governmental bodies in all our local endeavors, and we just want to be a part of the village. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hill.
Madam President and council members, John Beatty, BEATY, 2047 Wyndham Road. I have a number of questions. Is the contract with MK Logging Company already signed? If the above is true, was there a public hearing on the environmental impact of such action? If not, why not? If so, when and where was the public hearing? Is this a project, a pilot project for a more massive project throughout the Akron drinking water watershed? If so, will there be a public hearing for each new step that is planned? Will each public hearing be advertised for the public to attend? Does the service director and the council understand that these watershed forests, lands, and drinking water belong to the people of Akron and not to the Akron City Administration? Does the service director and the council understand that the people of Akron need to be consulted before the city administration enters into contracts that affect all the people of Akron? I understand that the Ohio Department of Natural Resources has made the proposed action with MK Logging Company a model for sustainable harvesting lumber from public-owned forests. Does Mr. Moore, does the council understand that the ODNR has been compromised by the massive campaign contributions of the oil and gas industry to Governor Casey's gubernatorial campaign and to the Ohio State Legislature? Instead of guarding the drinking water of Ohio residents, ODNR has become one of the chief proponents of fracking and fracked waste injection wells in Ohio. I don't think that ODNR's praise is a good thing for the customers of Akron's water system. Does the city administration believe that? According to the Davy Tree Company arborists, a typical acre of unforested land begins with about 1 million tree seedlings. Then through a process of natural selection based on the survival of the healthiest and strongest tree seedlings and lots of luck, the tree saplings become fewer and fewer when eventually the forest becomes an old-growth forest with massive old survivors dominating the landscape, inspiring us all with their powerful beauty and persistence. Cutting down the survivors proves that the most dangerous enemy of trees is Homo erectus. I believe we should be preserving old-growth trees unless they are showing signs of disease and decay. I am telling you, we want change from an administration eager to sell away our most precious resources, water, soil, and trees that give us oxygen to breathe and in return absorb carbon dioxide that threatens the life of our small, fragile planet. We want less pollution, more natural spaces. As Joyce Kilmer said, poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. Where do we get the figure that the ideal number of trees per acre are 40 to 60? I have half of those in my little lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Beatty. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak during public comment period?
Steve Nome, it's N-O-M-E, address 1928 6th Street, Cuyahoga Falls. The mystery of how the city decided to make the retiree spouse health insurance coverage unavailable to reduce the burden on the city's budget still remains. How council can be comfortable with major financial decisions being made without adequate documentation continues to baffle me. Since the city does not know how much the cost of insuring spouses under the age of 65 has been in the past, it does not know whether this cut has a significant impact on city finances or just a token move. Now, the lawsuit filed by one of the retirees is still pending, and it seems to me that the city is going to utilize all legal methods possible to delay a swift conclusion of this lawsuit. The real solution is unlikely to come through the court system, but through the city taking an honest review of the situation, what the real cost of spousal coverage is, and a reconsideration of other options that were considered when the $30 or $60 family charge for insurance was authorized in fall 2017. Would an increase in a monthly charge, a stipend for insurance costs to the employees, or to the retirees rather, or some other solution make quality, affordable insurance available to the retirees, spouses, and dependents again? As City Council, I know your hands are tied, but you need to encourage the administration to sincerely review this problem and offer a workable solution. The lawsuit will go away, and the severe financial burden which has been put on retirees with spouses will be lifted.
Thank you, Mr. Noel.
James Jarvis, Jarvis, 2926 Gratz Ridge Road, Grove City, Ohio. City Council President Somerville, members of Akron City Council, I'd like to thank this opportunity for allowing me to speak today about Tobacco 21. My name is James Jarvis, as I said, and I'm president of the Ohio Vapor Trade Association. Ohio has a very large community of vape exclusive stores and manufacturers that are primarily independent businesses like myself. As a state, we have approximately 700 exclusive vape businesses and over 4,000 people that we employ that affect 400,000 consumers every day. The Ohio Vapor Trade Association and its members strongly support limiting youth access to both tobacco and vapor products. OHVTA has supported the 18 and over legislation in the past. We also supported the childproof cap bill 3 years ago. Vape shops have taken a strong stance on youth access by having 18 and older signage up on the doors, as well as IDing anybody that looks under the age of 30. We do support having vape products available for adults 18 years and older and up. Recent research shows the FDA-approved methods for smoking cessation have a 6% rate. That is the patch and the gum. Vapor has been shown to have upwards of 50% a success rate. Allowing those at the age of adulthood to correct mistakes that were made by them when they were younger, as young as 8 years old. According to the Royal College of Physicians, 35,000 doctors in the United Kingdom, vaping is 95% less harmful than smoking traditional cigarettes. Findings have been similar with London Public Health at a rate of 99%. The sale of vaping products at a federal level has already been set at 18 years old, as this is the age of adulthood. Once you're 18, you have many things you can decide to do that are adult decisions, including joining the military, going to war, voting for wonderful folks like yourself, getting a credit card, buying a car, buying a house, and taking out a loan to advance yourself onto college, and many more things. Our industry is here to assist those that are 18 and not give up on them and give them an option to help them stop smoking. Adults, once they hit the age of 18, are the only ones allowed to sign themselves in and out of hospitals. They're also the only ones allowed to give consent on major medical surgeries. If they're old enough to make responsible decisions such as that, why are they not responsible enough to decide to use vapor products to stop smoking? The CDC has shown that smoking is now at an all-time low in both adults and teenagers. The commissioner of the FDA has come out in support of less harmful products, including vapor. Quote, "We need to envision a world where cigarettes lose their addictive potential through reduced nicotine levels, and a world where less harmful alternative forms effectively delivering satisfying levels of nicotine are available for those adults who need and want them."
You have about 30 seconds.
Dr. Gottlieb also went on to address nicotine. Nicotine and cigarettes are not directly responsible for cancer, lung disease, or heart disease that kill hundreds of thousands of Americans each year. Mitch Zeller, the director of tobacco products, has also said if we can get all those to completely switch off their cigarettes for one of these non-combustible products, that would be good for public health. Most recently, the American Heart Association has said about vapor products, if a smoker wants to choose to try an e-cigarette to quit, we support that effort. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Jarvis.
Hello, my name is Jason Gang, G-A-N-G. Thank you for having me. I'm from 1565 Gibson Avenue in Massillon. I am here also to say some words about the 21 and over project. I used to be a tobacco salesperson, and it was great. It was like giving candy to babies. It was easiest, but at the same time, I thought I'm going to hell for this. I'm killing all these people. And in 2008, I was blessed with the opportunity to turn that around, and I started a vapor company. Since then, I've helped nearly 1 million people stop smoking. 3 out of 4 of my grandparents died of smoking, so I've got a dog in this fight. We also supply wholesale and retail vapor products all over the state, and I've been witness to a 21 and over project in Cleveland and Columbus. We supply stores inside and outside of all these borders, and all this project has done was removed revenue from the cities. All the underage people, 18 to 21s, nearly went to all of the bordering counties and bought their products. Records show, this is a fact, this does not work. We've got stores, I supply stores inside and outside of where this has taken effect, and all it's done is change the sales. I am all about cigarettes are bad. That's no doubt about it. Directly from the CDC, reports show that the smoking rates are continually going down and down and down. And I've also got some graphs taken directly from the CDC website to show you. but before Akron spends a lot of revenue to enforce this program to help a minimal amount of people, please take this into effect, into consideration, I'm sorry. And if the 21 and over were to pass, please remove vaping from this policy so we can continue to help these people who have started smoking stop.
You have about 30 seconds, sir.
Okay. We have 3 or 4 customers a day where parents bring their 18-year-olds, even 17-year-olds into our stores because they realize these kids have started smoking and they need to stop. And we've been successful in helping them stop. And the tobacco in 21, vaping included there, removes all that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gang.
Hi, my name is Emmanuel Bay.
Patricia Ann Green.
We live at 380 Bailey Court. We're just common citizens, common neighborhood. We would like to find out, I recognize Mr. Neal in Somerville, John Valley. We'd like to find out, at 380 Bailey Court, it's a private court, but it's not being paved or anything like that. We want to find out what do we need to do to get that court paved, because it's bad. And right there at Glenwood, when the youth and things like that come out there, it probably also needs to be a trash can right there, because there's a lot of debris coming. There's actually on the corner of Howard and Glenwood, there was a payphone, and we know it's a thing in the past, but we would like to find out how can we get that payphone renewed.
Thank you. And if you two, after the meeting, would like to meet with Mr. Chris Luddle, and he can talk to you about 38 Bailey Court. Is there anyone else here to speak before this body during public comment period? If not, we will close our public comment period, and we will go into our committee assignments. Rules, Councilman Amobian. Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman. Planning, Councilman Fusco. Public Service, Councilman Kamer. Public Utilities, Councilman Samples. Public Safety, Councilman Kamer. Parks and Rec, Councilman Neal. Housing, Councilman Kilby. Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian. Economic Development, Councilwoman Sims. Green Committee, Councilman Swirsky.
1.
Very good. Is there anything else coming before this council body? Councilwoman Samples.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Over the past few years, we have discussed and attempted to host a gun buyback program here in the city of Akron. And unfortunately, we weren't able to garner the community financial support that was needed. I believe the time is right, and the time is now for us to discuss a gun buyback again. Some of those individuals who had committed funds last time, they too are interested in being a part of a gun buyback. I think it's important for us to note that since February 14th, which was the day of the Parkland massacre, we have had 16 mass shootings since then in the United States. To date, we have had 12,832 gun incidents in the United States. 3,200 of those resulted in death. 65 of those were police officers shot and killed in the line of duty. But what's even more staggering and startling about this is 146 of those were children between the ages of 0 and 11. And 617 of those are children between the ages of 12 and 17. And I know we've talked about this over the years, even back when Representative Johnson was in office, and I just want us to be really intentional about bringing this back to the forefront, especially right now. I do believe that the support is there for us to do it, and I believe the financial support will be there for us as well. So if we could really have a discussion about that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Samples. Mr. Hardy?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. So if you'll indulge me, I just wanted to respond briefly. I know we're still working through a diligent and good thought-provoking process in the Health and Human Services Committee around this proposal for T21. But as somebody who has a graduate degree in public health, I have to respond just because I took an oath as well. So you heard tonight a few folks discuss data. A quick Google search to the CDC/e-cigarettes will pull up pretty much all the information you need to know. What are the risks of e-cigarettes for youth, young adults, and pregnant women? Most e-cigarettes contain nicotine, which is addictive and toxic to developing fetuses. Nicotine exposure can also harm adolescent brain development, which continues into their early to mid-20s. E-cigarette aerosol can contain chemicals that are harmful to the lungs, and youth e-cigarette use is associated with the use of other tobacco products, including cigarettes. Are e-cigarettes less harmful than regular cigarettes? While e-cigarette aerosol generally contains fewer toxic chemicals than the deadly mix of 7,000 in smoke, e-cigarette aerosol is not harmless. It can contain harmful and potentially harmful substances including nicotine, heavy metals like lead, volatile organic compounds, and cancer-causing agents. I know that Tamika put some things into your box. I just urge council to listen to all of the expert testimony that we're providing. This is a difficult issue, I don't disagree, and the council has brought up some very, very thought-provoking issues as we work through this. But years and years and years of research that the tobacco industry put in to try and dispute the fact that tobacco kills people. There's a reason why vaping and e-cigarettes are part of the other legislation that's taken place in Ohio, and why they're included in other legislation that's come before the states. And I would just urge you to look at all the data. When somebody tells you the American Heart Association or the CDC says something, a quick Google search shows you that's not accurate.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Anything else coming before council body? Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Madam President. I understand, Mr. Norman has come down religiously to ask about the health care. Wasn't today a decision supposed to be made? Did they continue to stay the decision, or did they make a decision on the lawsuit today? I'm asking that because if not, so if nothing was, if we can be prepared to go into, to possibly go into an executive session next week as council so that we can get an update. I know I've asked some questions that are related to it, not specifically to the lawsuit, but just in some of the verbiage that we've used so that we can do our part to bring this to some form of decision. So I'm asking that it may not be prepared today, because I thought March 26th was the date that it was supposed to be looked at. Okay, so if we don't have an update, if by next Monday we can be prepared so the council will go into executive session and get an update in regards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Sims?
Just want to take a moment to commend all the young folks who participated over the weekend in the March for Our Lives. I had the privilege to travel to D.C. with about 60 young people, along with members of the NAACP Akron branch, and to say it was a life-transforming experience would be an understatement. I just didn't want to miss the opportunity to just commend the young folks who participated, and to echo the sentiments of my colleague, Ms. Samples, about I think the time is also right for us to revisit the gun buyback issue. And I think we may even have an upcoming meeting. I'm sure that council will be made aware of that, and I look forward to everyone's participation in that, not only discussion, but advancing the opportunity to do something here locally. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Sims. Anything else coming before us? Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.